Hello and happy Valentine's Day. I'm here with Rachel Mattheos, and we're streaming coming at you live from Oregon Weight and Wellness. Um,
Hello, everybody. Happy Valentine's.
yeah, happy Valentine's Day. Do you do something special on Valentine's Day, Rachel?
Not usually. When my kids were little, I would always give them a little box of chocolates on their
Mhm.
bed. When they would wake up in the
Mhm.
morning, there'd be a
Yeah,
little box of little
little
chocolates.
box.
Um, but it sounds like I've got a date with my husband this week.
Wow, nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
uh, not
awesome.
not on Valentine, because you on a Monday that's a weird night, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's kind of like hit and miss. It's not a huge holiday for us, but
Mhm.
it is sweet. So,
Yeah.
what about you guys?
Right, same. We're not going to do anything tonight, but I think this coming Sunday, our church is throwing something for couples, so we're going to do
Oh,
something there. Yeah.
that is very
Hey,
sweet.
and I actually met my husband at a Valentine's Day banquet at church.
You
Yeah,
did?
I know. It's
Well,
so
then you should definitely be honoring and going back to that every year,
yes,
right?
yeah, we do. And it's
Oh,
kind of funny because it was kind of a blind date, and the person who asked him to go with me didn't tell him it was a Valentine's Day thing. It's kind of funny,
that
and
is
you can see him like 30 minutes into the dinner. He's kind of looking up and kind of taking it all in. There's balloons over here, pink and red balloons and hearts, and taking. It's Valentine's Day, huh?
yes.
Good one.
You got it. You got it. Oh, that's cute. It took him a minute, but he put it together.
Yeah, 2 and 2.
Yeah.
2 and 2, and that's what we're doing here. We're putting 2 and 2 together, um, with pretty common sense food rules. How'd you like that transition? Pretty good.
I think that was such a beautiful segue, very smooth. No one caught on to that at all. Also, I love what you just said. I wanted to mention this a couple weeks ago. I was thinking about how really simple this book is, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a tiny little book. The chapters are very short. It feels like sometimes week after week we're saying the same things over and over again, but we're not really. It's just that there's all these different angles to come
Mm-hmm.
at food.
Right.
We might say processed food is bad, but there's 150 different ways to say that
Mm-hmm.
because there's 150 different ways why
Oh,
it's
yeah.
bad, right? It's
Right.
not just this, it's this and this and this.
Yeah.
And the way it impacts your body is multifaceted. So
Exactly.
so often I feel like, gosh, we're kind of saying the same thing, but we not only is it that it's we're looking at it from lots of different angles, but also we have to be kind of reminded on a regular basis,
Right.
what does this mean again?
Right.
How do I
That's
apply
exactly right.
this again?
That's exactly right, Rachel. I'm glad you said that because, well, first of all, things that are true are worth saying again and again and again. And we are coming against so much programming.
Right.
Like yesterday, Super Bowl Sunday, I was on a plane, I missed it. But uh, all the commercials, right? I
Oh
can
yeah.
guess they're for Doritos, Tostitos, Cheetos, anything with an O, F, right? Yeah, all that programming, we have to unprogram it,
That's
right?
right.
And
That's right.
so we might be saying the same thing,
Mhm.
different ways, different angles to your point,
Mhm.
but yeah, we have to say, and we sometimes we don't get it until we hear it the
That's right.
seventh, eighth, ninth time. So it's so yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
And to feel empowered to really question when the Tostitos commercial says healthy grains or lower fat tortilla chips or something,
right.
we can buy in very quickly and think, oh, they've repackaged, they've changed something that's healthier. Now I can eat it. And we really just have to stay so savvy on this. And
Hmm.
again,
Right.
the rules, the food rules are really very simple.
Hmm.
They're very basic, but to understand it enough to where we get it, it clicks in, and then we know how to apply it day in, day out, right? With
Right. So
all the
that when we are faced with that, we can say, I know where you're trying to go with this. You're not
yes,
going to snow me.
that's right.
Mm-mm.
I'm catching on.
Fool, yeah.
Yeah,
Fool me once.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me, sort of thing. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah.
And that goes like this. Yeah. Right.
But nutrition is something that's not really taught well in schools,
Right.
in any level. And most
Especially
people,
not medical school.
and not medical school, right? So, most humans kind of come at nutrition with this strange little bits of information. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I love that we are really kind of hammering down the very basics. That's why you kind of
Mhm.
had called this Nutrition 101.
Right.
These are the basics.
Yeah, these are the basics. That's right.
Mhm.
All right. In chapter 38, he says, favor the kinds of oils and grains that have traditionally been stone ground. Right.
Yeah. So the milling process, the way
Mhm.
by which they get oils and grains.
Mhm.
So how do
Right.
we know?
Right. Good question. Yeah, because back in the old days, didn't they tie the oxen up and, and they had them go around in a circle and they stomped on the grain and then they threw it up and separated the chaff from the wheat and all that.
Yes. Yes. And in that process, like we were talking about earlier, so much of the fiber is retained. It's not
Mhm.
pulverized to a powder. It's
Right,
still a substantial grain.
right,
Mhm.
right. And yeah, so you were asking me, how do we know? And I suppose that, reading the label is a start. That's the
Mhm.
place to start. And you were mentioning, well, just because, for example, if it says stone ground wheat,
Mhm.
that's a place to start. But then turn that over because so many times there's so many stamps of approval on the front that says, whole grain or stone ground or whatever. But then you turn it over to the back and you get a different story.
Yes.
So, right. So we have to look at the label. If there is no fiber in that stone ground wheat, it wasn't stone ground. Or maybe it was started stone ground and then they ground it a little bit more. Yeah.
Right. Right. Manipulation of the message, right? At one point it was stone ground.
Yeah.
And that's how they get away with it. But then they chemically treated it and
Right.
pulled out, So I love that. That's really basic. If there's not enough fiber in it and a high fiber count, question. And here's I would say bottom line, even if it was stone ground, if it only has 1 or 2 grams of fiber, say no anyway, because
Mhm.
it's not worth your time. It's
Right.
not a high enough fiber count for your health. It doesn't matter if
Mhm.
it was stone ground or not. Whatever they
Right.
say, you're not seeing the evidence on the label.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your go-to is your nutrition label
Mhm.
and the fiber content. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
will you remind everybody what the fiber content they should be looking for? So if we're talking
Right.
a flour or a bread product or something like that.
Right. Yeah. So I usually, for every 6 grams of carbohydrate, I usually want at least 1 gram of fiber to kind of counterbalance that.
Mhm.
So it's not breaking down so quickly and being absorbed super quickly into my bloodstream as sugar.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so it's a 6 grams of total carbohydrate to 1 gram of fiber ratio. And if it's that or less, so it could be, for example, it could be 5 or 3. That it just means so the more carbs, the less fiber, that the higher it goes, the worse it is. But the lower it goes, the better it is. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a simple mathematical equation. If there's, say, 24 grams of carbohydrate, you want at least 4 grams of fiber.
Right.
Did I do that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and he talks about oils too,
Yeah.
and really having natural
Mhm.
oils because we didn't have, I mean, well, I'm thinking of a Bible verse and they mixed oil and grain together and made their little flatbread. And it was olive oil traditionally.
Mhm.
And but now we've got all these kinds of oils in the grocery store: canola oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, blah blah blah, all these oils.
Yeah.
And we never used to use those oils, and unfortunately the way that they are made is very industrialized. So they take this seed, they are seed oils, by the way. They're not fruit oils or vegetable. We call them vegetables, but the reason we call them vegetables is because they're a plant. It's not a vegetable like broccoli is a vegetable.
Right.
So, yeah. So they're seeds. And then in order to get the oil out of that seed, they have to heat that seed to such a high temperature that when the oil is extracted from the seed, it goes rancid like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they add chemical solvents to the oil to deodorize them.
Ugh.
Before they stick them in a bottle and put it on a shelf. And you can watch this process on YouTube. You could just Google canola oil, processing, and you'll see it. It's amazing. But yeah, those oils are, number one, they're rancid, meaning they're bad and they're not good for us. If they're rancid, it's not good to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, and rancid is different than fermented. Okay.
Yes. And isn't rancid an oxidative process?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So oxidation, we know that this is damaging, right? This is a
damaged oil. It's already oxidized. And then we're putting that oxidized oil in our body. And in addition to that, a lot of these oils have the omega-6-3 ratio out of balance.
Yes.
So more 6s than 3s, or the ratio of 6s to 3s is so out of balance that it becomes inflammatory to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the bottom line is we want to eat more natural oils. And I think you would say, and you can take this and run with it. Mm-hmm. It's best to eat the oil while it's still in the natural food.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. As a plant-based eater, I don't add a lot of oils to my meals. A little bit of olive oil or avocado here and there. We're really careful, but I do have a lot of oils in my diet because I eat a lot of avocado and a lot of nuts and seeds and olives. And there's oils in different vegetables and things, not at the higher level. But yeah, can we get it from its original source?
Right.
And so I think what you said was really interesting because I've seen packages like cold pressed olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a good thing, right? Because it's recognizing that this was not a heated up oil or the olive that wasn't cooked or something to extract the oil out.
Right.
So I'm wondering, he says sesame oil.
Mm-hmm.
Sesame is a seed.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, because he says that sesame is among the oils that would be better, the way that they're obtained. So he says olive oil, sesame oil, palm fruit oil, and peanut oils are traditionally obtained in a more old-fashioned way. They're not rancid like the canola oil.
Right.
So I wonder if sesame oil, even though it's a seed.
Yeah. Now, to be honest, I'd have to go back and look at the 6-3 ratio. I don't have that one off the top of my head. I love the taste of sesame oil. I do. I don't use a lot of sesame oil. And then some of these oils really should be refrigerated so that they don't oxidize.
Right.
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 Yeah. So to be honest, I should look it up. I should look up sesame oil, for the omega-6 and to see how quickly it oxidizes once it's out of the seed.
Yeah, that was one that surprised me. But I think to your point, the peanut oils, I think that's probably why when you buy a whole natural real peanut butter, it's supposed to be refrigerated.
Yeah.
Because there's no preservatives. It's right. And so we don't want it to go bad.
Right. And as a matter of fact, when I buy flour, I freeze the flour for that same reason, because there's still some fat in that flour.
Right.
And so it's going to keep longer. It won't go stale, but stale means rancid.
That's right.
And rancid is not good for you because it's already oxidized, and then you're putting that oxidized food stuff into your body.
Right.
And so anyway, I freeze my flour and I refrigerate most of that's not quite true. I don't refrigerate. I keep in a dark bottle anyway, the avocado oil and the olive oil. And when they're high quality like that, they are, and we don't live in Florida or Hawaii, right?
Right.
So, that room temperature in a dark bottle shouldn't oxidize.
Right. I'm thinking cool and dark are the
Right.
two kind
Cool
of,
and dark.
yeah. So, I love that point though, because a lot of times people will transfer their olive oil to a pretty jar, a different pouring bottle on the
Right.
counter. But if that's a clear glass, it's not staying darkened. So you might want to consider what kind of a bottle is your olive oil in.
Yeah. Right. And I love your point where you don't need a lot of, eating fats isn't bad for us.
Right.
And it's even better when that fat or oil is kept inside that food until we chew it up and eat it ourselves. So like sunflower seed, as long as not barbecued or, what do you call it? Honey roasted, right? Yeah. Not honey roasted or barbecued, but that raw sunflower seed.
Yeah.
When I eat it, then I'm getting all that good oil and fat from that, or the avocado itself, or the olive itself.
So. Right. You're getting the fiber that's maintained in the food. And I think it's more pleasurable to actually eat our calories. It's taking up more space in your body. You're chewing. So you're thinking about, the brain and gut connection is saying, oh, she's chewing something, rather than an oil kind of just slides right down. Doesn't do it much. So yeah. And gosh, I would much rather eat an avocado than avocado oil, right? Like, oh, I just love the taste and the flavor and what it does to the foods. So I think this is a really important and interesting topic, because we haven't talked a lot about like the process that these things are undergoing and how it's coming to us. We just see it on a grocery store aisle, right? And to be considering, oh, well, how is this process? How was it made?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And Rachel, you probably know that some of these oils that are on the shelf are sold with that, heart healthy stamp on them.
Yes.
That's so confusing to people, or, was confusing to me too, until I really learned about it. But that American Heart Association heart stamp, people see that and think, oh, well, the American Heart Association thinks it's healthy. It must be healthy. But unfortunately, that's just not the case.
Yeah. The regulations and the rules that they're following to be able to get that stamp on there is not what you think it is.
Right.
And so they can put that on a bottle of canola oil and you would be saying, no, better choose the olive oil, right? Yeah. That's a great point, because I do see that label, American Heart Association, on things like Cheerios and so many foods. And it's like, if you're not paying close attention, you'll just see the label and think healthy, and you'll toss these into your bucket.
Right. Yeah. So can't be farther from the truth. So yeah. All right. Well, what are you going to have for dinner tonight?
Ooh, tonight is one of my favorites. Over the weekend, I prepped carrot soup. So it's this recipe I've been eating for years and years and years from an old vegetarian cookbook. And what I did to up the protein value, normally I would blend it. So it's one of those soups that you make it and then you use a stick blender to cream it up. And normally I would throw in some almonds. But this time I added ginger, which I don't always do. And then I added a whole block of tofu and just blended it in, and it helped to make it creamy. So we've got this whole block of tofu in there. So it's a carrot ginger soup.
With added protein.
With added protein. Yeah, with added
protein.
But
that doesn't change the taste a lot. Maybe the
not
texture.
At all. You cannot taste the tofu at all. So if you're a person who's like, what? You can't taste it. And it actually helps make it kind of creamy.
Right. Yeah. And you probably buy the non-GMO.
Every time. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for saying that. I'm very careful about buying non-GMO, organic, making sure I'm getting the quality types of soy products.
Yeah. So we're going to have fish because we have made a decision, my husband and I, to eat more fish.
Wow.
And, wild caught fish. And tonight, I don't think it's salmon. It's going to be a white fish. But, and then we're going to roast some Brussels sprouts. And we'll have a side salad and then probably some olive oil. We're making our dressings now. We never used to make our dressings. Now we make our dressings. So here's another point is that unfortunately, all those dressings in a bottle on a shelf, that's all bad oil, unfortunately.
Yes.
But you know what? It doesn't take much. There's a little olive oil. Here's a little balsamic. And to your point earlier, Rachel, I'm throwing some more seeds and nuts in the salad and less dressing.
Yeah.
And it's just like I'll cut up avocados in there and really mix it well, and it's delicious like a dressing.
It really is. Yeah, you almost don't need any oil base. You could do, you know, a little vinegar, a little, you know, Dijon mustard, salt, pepper, some lime juice. And then if you've got any kind of nuts on there or some avocado, you've got all the fat from that. Yeah. So and it really is quick. I think to your point, you're right. It is so quick to make a dressing. You just have to have the recipe ahead of time. And usually it's like between 3 and 5 ingredients, right? And if you just keep those things kind of on hand, you can toss something together and it'll keep in the fridge for up to a week.
Right.
You know, you can make a pretty good batch and you can eat off of it during the week.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna follow it up with my favorite chocolate. It's called Alter Eco chocolate, and I love brown. It's called burnt caramel or something like that, or brown butter or something like that. But it is 70% organic cacao, 70%. So maybe it's not quite 72, but the carb fiber ratio works. There's still carbohydrates in that. In that chocolate. So for our Valentine's Day, we're going to have a couple of squares of that dark chocolate. It's going to be delicious. So.
And I bet you're pairing that at the same time as your high protein meal. So it's all coming together, right? Rather than being this isolated treat. It's at the same time or it's finishing out your meal. And so it's all being metabolized together.
That's right. Yeah. It's our meal ender. Meal ender.
Right. Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yes. Yeah.
That sounds wonderful.
All right. Well, thanks for this great conversation, Rachel. It's always great to talk with you. And and we're going to, until next time, everyone have a happy and healthy Valentine's Day.
See everybody later.
Bye-bye.